there and welcome to No Recipe Required. Tonight I'm going to show you how to do a little appetizer that I kind of made up on the fly a little bit. At least I think I made it up. If I stole it from somebody, I apologize. What we're going to do, we're going to take some zucchini, we're going to cut it super thin, similar to a zucchini carpaccio I make. But in this case, we're also going to sear off some scallops and lay a scallop right in the center of that. We'll put a dressing on it, making a nice little salad. Stunning presentation, great taste. You're going to love it. Let's get cooking. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on our little shrimp and zucchini appetizer. I've got my zucchini here, and what we're going to do is essentially make a little bed for the shrimp. I'm going to lose the top of the zucchini, and then I'm going to cut little rounds as thin as I can. You know, super thin like that, wafer thin. I've got a recipe like this. I do the same thing with a little zucchini carpaccio. It's a similar prep or treatment here. Obviously, we're going to add the shrimp to it. I'm going to go ahead and cut, you know, probably 10 to 15 of these per person. They certainly don't have to be perfect. You know, if they come out like that, still going to be useful. So you don't have to throw it away. The only key here is you want to do them nice and thin as you can get. So once I get these done, we're going to arrange them on the plate, and then we will go ahead and do our shrimp and the little dressing that we're going to make for it. Okay, so I just finished cutting some rounds out of my zucchini, and what I'm going to do is just kind of lay them literally in a round on my plate here, slightly overlapping. Just you know, extend it out a little bit on each one and press them down. Now, if you end up with one that is kind of half broken like that, no problem. Just lay it there so that it overlaps, and then take a whole one and cover up that slightly ripped part, and nobody is ever going to know. You're going to be just fine. So let me keep overlapping these guys, and this is going to be the little bed for our shrimp. And once you get that down, you can do this ahead of time. I'm just going to cover it in plastic wrap. You can do it like an hour ahead of time, a couple hours ahead of time. Cover it in plastic wrap tightly, throw it in the fridge, and you are good to go. Okay, for our little scallop salad, we're going to make a brown butter vinaigrette. And for a brown butter vinaigrette, you need a little bit of brown butter. So I've got a little pan here. This is the same pan I'm actually going to cook the scallops in. Why dirty two pans? I'm just going to brown this butter first. We don't need a ton. This is, you know, probably a tablespoon. Maybe I'm going to add another little touch, just over a tablespoon. And you know, the browning over medium heat will probably take about 5 minutes or so. You just want to let it go until you start seeing some of that butter, you know, the little particles inside start turning brown, and then we're just going to move it over to a holding bowl while we do our scallops. Yeah. Okay, my butter is browned off now, so I'm just going to remove this to a little bowl, hold it there while we cook our scallops. You do want to wipe out the pan, and we're going to start with fresh olive oil. And I'm going to show you how to sear these scallops, because seared scallops are absolutely delicious. First thing you want to do is make sure you season both sides with salt and pepper. And then as you're doing this, you want to make sure your pan is getting nice and hot. You need a good hot pan to sear a scallop. It's basically impossible to do it otherwise, because overcooked, they're kind of like rubber. And nobody likes eating a little rubber band. So you need that high heat to get caramelization on the outside, while keeping the you know, center nice and you know, nice and kind of medium or so. Okay, let's go ahead and sear off our scallop. Now, if ever anything happens to you like it just did to me, I put a little too much oil in my pan. So just dump it out. Walk it over the sink if you need to. Not a big deal. I've got my scallops right here. You need, even with a non-stick pan, you need a little bit of oil in the pan, because the oil helps the heat transfer from the pan to the scallop. I've got my seasoned scallops. I'm going to lay it down in the oil, and you should get that nice sizzling pop. We'll lay the other one down. Now, key element here, don't touch anything. Don't flip the scallop, don't do anything. It needs to brown, it needs to get caramelized on that side. And it's probably going to take about a minute on that one side over, I usually go medium-high heat or so to get that nice sear on it. Okay, after about a minute, I have not touched the pan. I can see, around the edges of the scallop, it's nicely browning. So we're going to flip it over. And we see that nice caramelization on top. I'm going to flip this guy over. And I'm going to do same thing. Probably cook it. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit because my pan is really starting to smoke. You don't really need that. So I'm going to turn it down to about medium. And I'm going to let the scallop finish cooking. Essentially the same amount of time, maybe 10 seconds less on this side. And then we'll have our scallop. Okay, after another minute 10 or so, we've got the other side perfectly seared as well. That's exactly what we're looking for. After you cook a few, you'll be able to tell that field test. Perfectly kind of medium rare, medium is what you're looking for in the center. That nice crispy crust. This is the perfectly seared scallop. Okay, let's go ahead and finish making our little scallop appetizer. I've got perfectly seared scallop that I'm going to lay right down in the middle. And then to top it, I've got my my brown butter, and we're going to do just a quick little vinaigrette. I happen to have a tiny bit of diced tomato here, which I want in there just for the color. I've got a little bit of balsamic vinegar for some acid, and we're going to drop a few drops into there. Going to do some pepper, a little bit of salt. Then we're going to mix together for our sauce. And let me grab a spoon. And we're just going to drizzle our little brown butter tomato vinaigrette around the plate in any old little pattern like that. You get any drips maybe too far out, you can just remove those. And there we've got our beautiful scallop and squash appetizer. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.